Right, hello guys, and yeah, we have got our No PS2 video here. We have got a Rare B revision, and yeah, this is basically got the classic No PS2 issue, which is where you try to play a PS2 game, you get a black screen, you can access the menu that allow you to restart your game, change settings, etc., but it won't start the PS2 game. You can get variations of this where it basically will boot when it reaches a certain temperature. I think, as you're going to see in this one, that's not exactly the case. I think we get it all the way up to 75 degrees and it's basically doing nothing. Yeah, I've also just shown this the person who sent me the console that unfortunately the casing at the back is all smashed up. So it would be an absolute miracle if this even boots. So at this stage, very early on, I'm a bit concerned that this has taken some more damage in the post, but thankfully we do get a boot and we're all good to go basically. So not a lot of people have been investigating this No PS2 issue. You may have noticed, people, to all the subscribers I've got out there, that I haven't been giving out lots of different content. That's because I've had a lot of time and energy into this one, and yeah, I think, and it basically, I'm not going to do any spoilers, but it's been very beneficial, and I've come to lots of good conclusions, and even found appears to be a fix that seems to work. I just need to try it on a few more consoles now to be absolutely sure, and I am getting another one from Sweden, and that'll be attached to this video as well, so fingers crossed. But yeah, the early signs are looking good. What I just did there is I changed the fan settings. I'm trying to get the console reasonably warm. I'll do a cold boot first just to see where we are. You are going to see lots of blank screen in this. You can see I've accessed the menu again, and people that have got this issue will be all too familiar with this. It just goes to a blank screen. You can access like the menu to quit out and restart, but that's really about it. So this console here has a pretty severe version of the No PS2. It just doesn't boot at any temperature currently. I haven't done any work on it at this stage, so yeah, that's all going to change as we work on it. Throughout this video, I have done lots of stuff behind the scenes, and I will also be talking about things that I haven't recorded that I did because I just didn't think. It got to a point where I was doing so much work on this that I had so many video clips. I thought I'm gonna be drowning in video clips, so I better stop. And yeah, a few things I wish I'd recorded now, but I'll go through exactly what I did that I haven't recorded on the video. So yeah, here we go again. I'm just making sure it does play PS3 games at the moment, and that we don't have any issues loading up The Last of Us. That all seems to be reasonably good. I am just checking the health of the laser. That's all good as well. It does read the PS1, 2 and 3 games without any issue. So we do have a problem on the emulation side of the PS2. So yeah, now I've done that, console will now reboot. I will now try and load the PS2 game again, which unfortunately is going to be to no avail. And yeah, we are going to access the menu again, and yeah, we'll quit out and we'll check the temperatures. A lot of this is very laborious to begin with, that's why I've sped it up and I'm doing my voiceover. I don't want you to hear the frustration in my voice. And the time it takes is hours and hours, so speeding up is pretty much the only way I can make it mildly entertaining for you guys. I've always said though that my channel isn't an entertainment channel, it's for people that are serious about fixing their console. And as I've got more subscribers, I've had to be a little bit more creative with my videos, but they're still not up there with the big YouTubers. But it is an educational channel, and that's how I'd like to keep it. So again, we are getting absolutely nowhere with this, and yeah, it looks like we will now open up the console and move on to the next stage. So I'll see you then. Right, okay, so yes, following on, we've just tested the console and now we've got it on a brace. And what I'm currently doing is I'm basically just going through testing capacitors, and I've also prepped the board for removal of the first 4 tokens. What I'm actually currently doing is checking the ohms rating, which gives a direct relation to the health of the CPU and RSX. And what I've noted on this one is the CPU health is pretty low, it's 1.1 ohms. So we're getting the tantalizers now ready. I'm just fluxing the points where I'm going to be needing to solder and tinning them. And then the next thing we're going to be doing is just basically getting the capacitors there already tinned up, and then this will all be neatly reflowed onto the Tantalizer. I don't use the multi-layer ceramic capacitors. I find the ones on the board are good enough. I've done over 2,000 hours of testing with these and they're absolutely fine. So yeah, I have had that question, and I just don't think it's necessary. And Ace Console does his tantalizers and there's not even room for the multi-layer ceramic capacitors. So he obviously feels the same way as I do. I have the Rest in Peace Felix ones because you can pick them up from OHH, is it? I forget, but you can pick them up at a reasonable price. And I get low ESR, and I've tested the ESR on these, by the way. And yeah, I get those from LSC, which is a Chinese company. And yeah, they work really, really well. So yeah, I'm just basically just going through this and tinning everything up. It takes a while. You can see I've got it on a sort of board. It's like it's a wood board, and then I put foil tape over the top, so when I reflow them on, I don't scorch the board. And yeah, that works really well as well. I like the fact that with these tantalizers you can do the majority of the work away from the board. Anything to do with heat, it's good to isolate that as much as possible, and you'll see that in a moment when we come to actually putting this together, that I do protect everything on the motherboard. And yeah, we get everything, all the rails tinned up, and then we just reflow these on. These, the bottom of these tantalizers have been actually tinned as well. And then once they're reflowed on, I then just do a final soldering. So they get reflowed and then soldered on. So as you can see, we've got all 4 ready there. And I've put some normal masking tape around, and this now gets covered with foil tape as well. And the reason I do both there is because we're using a knife to take this off. We're using a heat, which is why you can see I've got the yellow heat tape. It protects. I don't want to melt any plastic basically, but yeah, I mean the tape also helps if you slip it, a tiny capacitor can come off, and having this protection prevents that. I also use a little bit of rubber. See that little blue bit of rubber there? I use that, and yeah, that helps. If I slip, I hit that rather than slip through onto the motherboard. These can be a bit tedious taking these off, I've noticed. So some of the bits remain. You have to put a bit of flux on there, a little bit of solder, low melting point solder, so leaded solder basically, and then you add the heat, and the solder then melts. It melts the other solder underneath, and then gets rid of all the debris that gets left behind. Yeah, I've just put another piece of foil tape there. If I feel that I need to put another piece on, I will. Yeah, I mean, I can't emphasize enough just how important it is to protect the board when you're doing this. And yeah, so prep is key. And then when you do it, the prep will save you if you do slip. And yeah, I have slipped on a couple of these boards and it's not pretty. So once you've done it once, you just don't want to do it again. So yeah, following on, just fluxing everything up and basically adding heat, removing the debris, and then moving on. So yeah, this No PS2 issue now, you can have a B revision like this, which only plays PS1 and PS3 games, and yeah, it's just not worth the money, is it? That it should be worth. If it plays PS2 games, then you're looking at £300 to £400 for a decent B revision, but if it doesn't, then it's no better than a super slim, which you can pick up for 40 quid. So yeah, these consoles, these early consoles, are really well made with high quality components. It's just a shame that recent research, mainly from Felix, has highlighted that these just degrade over time whether you use the console or not. So now we have come to that conclusion. These tokens on every refurb now that I'll be doing, including a No PS2, will get swapped out, because you don't want to resolve a No PS2 issue and then months later the tokens start to fail. And they probably would, because we add heat in a reflow oven as part of the process, and if you don't remove these, then they just die anyway. So now I've removed everything, I'm just now tinning up the rails with leaded solder and getting it ready for the tantalizers to go on. In real time, by the way, this takes me a couple of hours. I just take my time. It's not about an efficiency of how many I can do in a certain period of time. It's just literally, if I'm doing tokens on a motherboard all 8, I'll put the day aside basically to do it. And if I haven't got the day free, I don't do it. Because you kind of go into a bit of a zone with it. And you have to be really alert on the ball. You can't do this fatigued. It's a bit like when you do a D-lid. Just never do anything like a D-lid or anything like this if you're slightly tired, even slightly. So you want to be on the ball, nice and fresh, and your state of mind is really, really important when you do this. And I do see people that just chisel these off. I have even seen Felix sort of say, yeah, you can chisel it. I just don't feel comfortable with that. I just rather take it off slowly, remove the debris like I'm doing. It's a bit of a painstaking process, but when you're working on a B revision like this, that, you know, we get the PS2 side of things working, it's going to be worth some money, and you just don't want another one of these on the scrap heap. I dread to think how many people just threw their consoles away through, you know, hardware failure of RSX or even no PS2. It's like, well, I'd rather just have a more efficient Super Slim with a better RSX and better CPU than this. So they end up just chucking this away. So yeah, that's why it's really important that we do get to the bottom of what's causing this. And it's all going to start with the tokens, because we just know they need to be done. You can see me there just gradually taking the debris away. It would be lovely to get it off in one go. And I did go through a phase of getting them off in one go, but it did require a little bit more force than I'd like. And yeah, the chances of slipping were greater. So I thought, well, if the chances of slipping are greater, I might as well take it off slowly and just minimise that chance completely to almost zero. So the way I'm doing it, it's hardly any force is used. And then obviously I've got the piece of rubber there just in case I slip. So once everything's removed, tin everything up, and as you can see now, cleaning it with isopropyl alcohol, and just making sure that everything's nicely tinned, it's even, and then we're going to be ready for these tantalizers. You see me go over it quite a few times. I just want it to be absolutely perfect. So now we are just putting flux on, putting that where it needs to go, the tantalizer. And yeah, we're just gonna heat this up to, and this is another reason I've got the foil tape, because I need to get that to about 150 degrees. It's not going to be enough to melt the RSX solder balls because we're using leaded solder and they've got unleaded solder underneath there. But yeah, it can be a bit of a process. I need to get actually some adhesion through the reflow first, and then once we've got that, I will then be happy to then move on to the soldering stage. So now we've got it to the soldering stage, I'm just adding solder. So you've just got the solder wire and you literally just place the wire where you want to solder, which is really nice, and it just does it. Anybody that's a bit like, oh, I've never done soldering before, I'm not sure, you know, it isn't that hard. Get a practice board, you know, and just try some general soldering. Once you've got used to it, it really isn't that hard. So I'm just moving on to token number 2 now. And yeah, it's been reflowed, and then I'll just solder it. And we'll test it with the multimeter as well. So now you can basically see what I'm doing. I don't need to keep explaining it. We'll go into what's going on, what sort of progress so far, what I know about what this No PS2 thing is all about. And I am pretty sure it's board warping causing kinked traces and maybe some BGA fatigue under the major chips. If you've done a Frankenstein, you know it's not under the RSX, but there's still the EEGS chip, there's still the CPU, and there's still the Southbridge chip. Now, you'll see later on in the video that we're going to add flux to these underneath these chips. We're going to bake it in the reflow oven, and yeah, this is going to help the ultrasonic cleaning stage, and we also add direct heat to these chips as well, 400 degrees to be precise. It's a lot of heat. The board will be at about 120, but you'll see that. And yeah, so basically in a nutshell, I do believe it is microscopic corrosion under the major chips, causing BGA fatigue with cracked solder joints, possibly micro fractures of joints being cracked. And yeah, the board warping is causing that. It's causing kink traces. So basically we correct the board warping, we can basically correct the trace, and it will also, if we put flux underneath the chips, it will help to correct that as well. So yeah, you can see I'm now coming to the end of this, and it's just nice to get it done. We just give it a little clean. I only work on very, very clean environment, and that's the console as well. So we'll give it a little test now, and provided I'm happy, we'll probably then move on to the next part of this. So I'm just getting some paper so you can see it on camera. And because it's still warm, you don't get an accurate reading, but all I'm looking for is just a reading at this stage. You can see though that the RSX is much healthier there than the CPU, getting 1 ohm and 2.5 on the RSX there. So just to get 1 on the CPU, even though it's warm, I think it only went up to 1.3 maximum when it was stone cold. So what that basically means is that the CPU health on this is questionable. And yeah, this is just a rinse and repeat now. I'm just doing this on the other side. Yeah, I don't mind putting tape over the die. You'll notice underneath the tape I've got heat tape first, then I've got the silver tape over the top of that. Yeah, prep's really important. If you don't do this correctly, you can slip, like I say. And if you're going to follow this tutorial, then I sort of feel obliged to tell you why it's so important to do this. And you know, and I am a bit bewildered. Like when I do D-lids, I just don't understand why people don't prep. They just go ahead and do a D-lid. Like a little slip could be avoided if you prep properly, or if you knock off a capacitor, a tiny little component on the motherboard. It can all be avoided if you prep properly. Or if you've added heat somewhere and you've caused slight warping, well, that could be corrected if you put it on a brace. So all of this here is really, really key prep, and I'm happy to say, you know, doing it this way has never caused me any issues. It does take a long time though. In real time, you're looking at probably about a 3-hour job in total for both sides. But worth it once it's done, because you're not going to get unwanted shutdowns. Anyway, now that's done, we are going to now prep this for ultrasonic cleaning. So yeah, I'm just taking off the paste, which what you're not seeing on camera is a lot that I'm testing it every step of the way. So I now know the tokens are absolutely installed correctly. For example, I've done the testing. No, it hasn't resolved the No PS2 issue at this stage. And if it had, then obviously we wouldn't even be here. I'll just be showing you, look, we've just done the tokens and everything's fine. I'm going through some of the other things that I'm thinking it could be. There are some MLCC capacitors that I am suspicious of, but spoiler alert, it's not those. And I'm also pointing towards some of the RAM chips for the RSX, saying that, you know, we're basically going to cover all bases here. What I did off camera is a couple of things. I put flux on one occasion behind all of the chips. You're only going to see me do it on a couple. But I'm getting another console and I'm going to try and come up with a universal solution to this that will involve putting flux behind all of them. As you can see at the moment, I'm just putting flux behind the CPU. I'm tilting the board, so when I see the flux come out the other side, I then just wipe it away from the board, and yeah, I know that it's gone right the way through. We'll also do it on the, we'll tilt it the other way as well to make sure that we get good coverage behind both chips. But like I say, I recommend you do it on all of them. RSX, CPU, Southbridge and EEGS chip. So yeah, once that flux is applied, yeah, you can see I do it to some of the smaller chips as well. Basically, and I believe this is 2 of the RAM chips for the EEGS that I do it as well. And the reason for that is I just want to rule everything out. If we do have any BGA fatigue anywhere, even if it's on a small chip, then we want to basically eradicate that, because that could be the root cause of the problem. So now we've got that ready, we're going to be just giving this a little bit of direct heat. So basically what you haven't seen is this has gone into the reflow oven for about 2 hours at 120 degrees, and I'm now applying direct heat to the CPU and to the EEGS. These are the 2 main chips. Again, what you don't see me do, because I've done it on another, I didn't record the process, is the underside of the EEGS and the underside where the multi-layer ceramic capacitors are on the other side of the CPU. Yeah, I heat the underside of those chips as well. I'm putting some pads down because I'm just applying even pressure. So it's very hot, so it's come out of the reflow oven. Board's about 120 degrees. I've just applied 400 degrees heat to the CPU and to the EEGS, and yeah, and now I'm just giving it a little clean, and it'll be now ready for the next stage. We're going to let the board completely cool down, and then we're going to pop it into the ultrasonic cleaner. A couple of things you don't see me do there, and I'm going to tell you what they are. However, I am getting another console, and I'm going to do the whole process that I believe from start to finish will resolve this in one go. But yes, so the console the ultrasonic cleaner should be set to 60 degrees. When it's at 40 degrees, I then apply the liquid behind all of these chips. So basically, I put flux behind them. It went into the reflow oven for 2 hours, and then when it came out, I applied direct heat to the EEGS, CPU, and then the underside of them as well, so the other side of the EEGS and the CPU. When it's at 40 degrees, I then apply all the liquid using a pipette behind all the major chips. And then what you should do, again, you don't see me do it, is you should leave it in there. So once you've done that, leave it to soak in there until it gets to 60 degrees. So that takes about another 20 minutes from 40 to 60 degrees. So yeah, so basically when it's at 35 degrees, I would do this because by the time you finished, it will be at 40 degrees, and then you let it soak from 40 to 60 degrees in the liquid. For some reason, the liquid heat has a different effect on this and does correct the board warping very well. It also, at the higher temperature, I was doing it at 50 degrees before, I increased it to 60. At the higher temperature, the cleaning is far more effective under the BGA, so much so that it really does help. No spoilers, but I'll show you how well this is running at the end. So yeah, as you can see, I'm just applying the liquid underneath, and now that's where you want to leave it, from 40 to 60 degrees. And then once we're at 60 degrees, you start the ultrasonic clean, which is what I've just done now. And what you can see now is the plumes. If you look where the 4 chips are on the right, you can really see it, and also on the RSX there. It's just where the cleaner is being ultrasonically pushed through the BGA, and then all the muck is coming out. So it really is giving it a highly efficient clean. And yeah, I believe that, you know, putting flux underneath there, heating it in the reflow oven, adding direct heat of 400 degrees to the EEGS and the CPU, and then applying even pressure to it, then doing it on the underside, then using this process really does encourage the BGA to have much better contact, resulting in a flatter board, rectifying board warping and correcting this issue, meaning that, yeah, no PS2 will with any luck come back. So yeah, so at this stage it's been 5 minutes. I then put it in again. I'm not sure you see me do that. Yes, okay, it went in again. Now I'm just cleaning off both sides with a brush, and now it just goes into a tub, and I am now rinsing off with distilled water first. So this is just taking off any of the cleaner. I do that on both sides, and yeah, it's worth noting I clean it and do all of this whilst it's still on the brace, because all the while the board warping is being corrected. Board warping. I'll get my words out. So once we've used the distilled water, I then move on to isopropyl alcohol. This helps to disperse the water. And then, even though it's going back in the reflow oven for an hour at 100 degrees, we don't put it in wet. We basically blow dry. It's a cold blow dry, and it takes about 15 minutes in total. So you want to do a complete blow dry of this on both sides, and yeah, so you get in between, you get to all the chips, you blow out all the liquid from underneath all of the BGAs, and you basically just get this pretty dry. It doesn't have to be bone dry, because then we're going to finish it off in the reflow oven for about an hour at 100 degrees. Quite a satisfying shall I say, quite a satisfying part of this is just seeing how clean this is when you take it out the ultrasonic cleaner. The the conformal coating literally is just shining in your face. It really, it's something else. It looks brand new, and in such good condition. When these go in, they're in very dull condition. Maybe some, you know, even Sony leave flux on it, and it's horrible. I'm sure this all contributes to the issue. So it's good to get the ultrasonic cleaner to really clean the board, to take all of that off. And yeah, so now basically I'm just laying it flat, and I'm just finishing off the blow drying process. Then it goes back in, like I say, for 1 hour at 100 degrees. And what you don't see again is when it comes out, but you're going to see it, because I'm going to do it on the other video, which I'll attach to this. It'll all be one video, where I apply direct heat again to the CPU and the EEGS once it comes out at 100 degrees for an hour. And then once that's done, we let it cool down. And once we've let it cool down, it'll be ready to go. So basically now I've put it into the reflow oven, I've taken it back out, and this is now bone dry, and it just looks really good, really good. You can see it's actually, you can see it's shining, and everything is in like new condition. It's really nice to see how well the Felix Tantalizers fit onto the board. It just looks like they should be there. It doesn't look like how it used to look like when people just put the capacitor straight on. Anyway, we're going to move on to the next phase now, which is testing this console, so I'll see you then. Right, okay, so yeah, we have now got this all put together and set up, and yeah, we are now going to give this a bit of a test. And yeah, it's just been one of those journeys. I've done a lot of tests off camera, and yeah, we've got to the point now where I'm going to give this one final test, and this is what I'm showing you now. So basically the process is to correct the board warping, remove microscopic corrosion, and relieve the BGA fatigue without doing a full reflow, because that is really dangerous for this console, and many a console has died basically because of it. So this is basically the safest way to do it. And it basically means that you don't have to reach melting point, and what we're doing now is testing to see whether this will work. PlayStation 2 logo has come up no problem. It's booting straight into Res Evil 4, and this is at 38 degrees. So if you know anything about the No PS2, what tends to happen is that from low temperatures it won't boot, and then as the console gets warmer it will boot, and that heat changes the worse it gets. So it might boot at 55 when it's mild, and then when it gets bad it might have to get to 80 degrees. Unfortunately, console then starts to cool itself down, and the PS2 will then freeze, and then when it gets really bad it just won't boot at any temperature, because the temperature is required to get it working it can't get to without being dangerous basically for the console. So that results in no boot. So off camera I have tested this for days. This has gone on continuously for 3 days, well over 72 hours continuously, and I've been running it at 40% fan speed, keeping it under 55 degrees. No problems, no glitching, no nothing. So I've also run through and played Res Evil 4. I think you can see I'm on chapter 4 here. It's about just over halfway through the game, and that is a massive game, and I have replayed chapters over and over as well, because I wanted to do it perfectly. And of course I'm testing the console. When my other half asked me if I've been playing games all day, I say yes, but it's all for the good of trying to work out this No PS2 issue. And yeah, when you put in the amount of research I have to come up with the solution, yeah, I think you do deserve to play a little bit of Res Evil 4, one of my favourite games of all time. You know, PS2 was probably, I think, one of the most successful consoles, raking in a lot of money for Sony, having such great games, and having a B revision which wouldn't play anything PS2 related, so now playing everything PS2 related is a joy to behold. It really is. So yeah, this is running this continuously under 55 degrees without it running it without any issues. And that's, you know, I just can't express, like, this has taken me like a couple of years. I knew that heat helped it. Then there was the whole thing with, you know, computer booter and Ace consoles changing various chips and nothing working. And that's when I came up with heat must be helping due to, you know, board warping correction. And corrosion does get onto these motherboards. You know, they're well over 20 years old, and moisture gets in there as well over a period of time, and that all needs to be cleaned out and heated up to relieve the moisture from the motherboard as well. And yes, this basically has worked, and I now need to make sure it's not isolated to this console. I need to make sure that basically, you know, it's going to work. When anybody has this issue, this is the solution. So like I say, I've got somebody from Sweden sending me their console, and we will check that. So that'll be in the next part of the video. So I will see you then. And yeah, thanks for watching. If you've made it this far, thank you. See you soon. Okay, so this is the next backwards compatible PS3. It has a no PS2 issue. It has a couple of things that are wrong with it. I have slowed down this video to give me time to tell you what they are. Otherwise, it's just a very quick video of him showing me it doesn't work. So, so basically, this will go to blank screen. You can get the menu. Sometimes you'll get the PS2 menu, and that's when that happens when it's cold. But when it warms up, it will beep off, and that's what he shows you in the video here. I did originally think maybe it was webman settings, because if you play a PS2 emu.net emulator with an ISO through webman, and webman's corrupted, then basically it will beep off the PS2 disc, well, the ISO. You can't play PS2 discs from from PS2 emu.net. So here he basically shows that he's put the disc in, it's running the PS2 emulation, the stock one, and it beeps off. It also, I did query the fact I couldn't see a flashing light, and that's because he damaged the ribbon from the power plate to the actual port, the plastic bit on the console where it plugs into. So yeah, I now have this console, and we are now going to move on to me working on the motherboard. So I will see you shortly. Right, so here's that motherboard. I've got it on the brace, and yeah, we're now just preparing it. You can see it's already got the Ace console Tantalizers on there. And I've just tested them, and they're all showing good readings, other than a capacitor going, which is highly unlikely. It's not those. So basically I'm putting a cotton pad because I just don't want any flux going on the board, and the moment you see a small brown stain on the pad, you know it's gone through that side. You don't need much of this. I see people drowning their motherboards in flux. It's horrible. You don't need much. You just put a little bit, and the moment it comes through and you see it on the cotton pad, it's done. We tilt it two ways just to ensure even coverage of the flux underneath the BGA, and this is purely sacrificial, this flux. It's to help, I'm using it as a cleaning agent, because the flux will literally cling to the oxidization, corrosion and any debris, and the ultrasonic cleaning is then going to remove all of that. And then we're going to go on to a second phase of adding flux again, but this time leaving it under the chip. So I'm just basically meticulously cleaning it now, making sure that we don't have anything on there in terms of flux, and it's now going to go in the oven for 2 hours. So it's going to have a 2-hour heat treatment at 120 degrees. And what this is going to do is then prep it for the ultrasonic cleaning. Sorry, my mind went blank there. I'm actually looking at the video as I'm voiceovering it. Yeah, you can see I'm adding normal flux. This is just ordinary cheap flux you can buy, and I am putting it under the RAM chips of the RSX and also the EEGS chip. And yeah, I might as well. It's not going to do it any harm, and if there's any connection issues there, then we should be able to remove any corrosion, anything from those chips, and give them a good clean, make them work more efficiently. So yeah, this is all about cleaning and prepping this board. So now it's been in there for 2 hours at 120 degrees. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add 400 degrees directly to the EEGS and to the CPU. Now this is by no means going to melt the solder underneath, but what it is going to do is it's going to activate that flux as much as possible to grab onto everything that it needs to. So when we do the ultrasonic cleaning, then yeah, it's going to be able to remove that with ease. What you saw me do there is I basically did 20-second increments of 400 degrees on the CPU, then moved on to the EEGS and did that 3 times. So yeah, now it's going to be ready to go into the ultrasonic cleaner. So now the ultrasonic cleaner's reached temperature at about 50 degrees. I think 60 was a tad too hot, so I'm keeping it at 50. And now, as you saw me in the previous video, sorry the camera angle isn't too good here, I'm actually putting the liquid underneath all of the chips, because it just forces the liquid through, and I want to make sure that the BGA on all of these chips is is as clean as it can be. So now it's going to go in the ultrasonic cleaner, and yeah, I think you're going to see pretty much this in the whole real time. I move the camera around in a moment, and yeah, you literally just see how much greener this liquid is compared to the other one. You could see through the other liquid, and I think that is a telling sign. And just a tip for everybody using ultrasonic cleaner: the moment your liquid becomes more translucent, as you can see, you can barely see the motherboard there, but on the other one you could. So the moment your liquid becomes too translucent, your cleaner is starting to fail. And it's not necessarily the amount of cycles that you put it through, it's actually the heat, the temperature actually, degrades the detergent in there, which is cleaning the PCB. So yeah, it's a lesson for everyone. And if you're going to be soaking it for 5 minutes and then doing 5 minutes each side, that's 15 minutes. Probably only going to get 4 or 5 cleans out of something like this. So it does start to get a bit expensive, but it's very necessary, because this basically does it in one pass, whereas before I had to do it several times with the cleaner failing. So once we've done that, we are then going to flip the board over, and I've got it on a brace so it stays straight, and I've got extra feet on that brace because of the USB port part of it actually makes this normally go at an angle. So yeah, I have got it on feet so it's completely flat now, and yeah, tipping it upside down like this rather than just putting it again the right way up actually cleans the underside of this far more effectively, and obviously the top side far more effectively by doing it this way. So another tip for you there for the ultrasonic cleaning. And yeah, I'm really glad that I'm doing this voiceover. The noise from this thing, I can only clean when my family is out of the house. It is literally that bad. So but the results are incredible. They really, really are. Better than any cleaning you could do with isopropyl alcohol. It does feel a bit unnatural because the whole thing is getting very, very wet. So what I do now is I put it in a tub, as you know before, and I did say it wasn't necessary to use distilled water. I'm changing that. I'm going back to how I did it before. I believe it is actually a lot better, because what you're doing is you're rinsing the detergent off first, and then what you do is you then give it the first application of isopropyl alcohol. Then you just blow everything off, and then give it another little bit of isopropyl alcohol to disperse the water again, and then off you go. You can't put this into the reflow oven or whatever oven you're using to do this until it's dry, because you risk popcorning, you risk all of those things. And also I put it in at 100 degrees because that's the lowest my oven will go. It's probably recommended to do it between 60 and 80 degrees, because all you're doing at this point is drying the motherboard. However, if you put it into a cold oven and let it gradually warm up to 100, that's going to be perfectly safe. So yeah, we add the second application now of isopropyl alcohol. And another reason to keep it on the brace is, as you can see, you don't want to be handling the motherboard like this the whole time, constantly turning it around, doing all of this stuff, because you could damage the motherboard. And also keeping it on the brace is constantly straightening the motherboard. So yeah, it protects it, it straightens it, and then into that oven it goes. So basically I assembled it, gave it a quick test, everything seems to be checking out. Didn't do any in-depth testing, because now I need to move on to phase 2. And I think it's always good to know where we're at every step of the way, which is why I did the assemble, and which is why now I'm taking it apart. So we know at this stage that basically the issue seems to be resolved, but now what we're going to do is the first application of flux. That was for removing contaminants, oxidization, corrosion from underneath the substrate, the BGA. And now, and that was obviously sacrificial flux, using it as a cleaning agent. And now we're adding a second application of flux, but this time it's just going to go in at in the reflow oven at 110 degrees for 2 hours. And we're going to put the flux under the two main areas that I think are the problem, the EEGS and the CPU. Now, the EEGS, that's quite obvious because that's responsible for PS2 playback. It's the main hardware. And the CPU basically is solely responsible for managing PS2 playback. In fact, I think if you go into Syscom and you boot it up, the RSX just basically falls asleep. You could argue that maybe there is a case to say that the Southbridge could be something to do with it, but from what I can see, these are the two chips that I am concerned with. So after I've put this onto the brace, I'm going to add flux really carefully as well. Don't just throw flux underneath here and let it drip all over your board. Just don't do that. Get a cotton pad like I'm doing. The moment you see that brown come through the other side, move it away. You just want a thin layer of flux on here. You don't want to cake it full of flux and then get it all over your board. So yeah, you get your cotton pad, fold it in half. Whatever way's comfortable. I decide this way's the most comfortable, and then I just throw the flux that's just a very small amount, and tilt the board and just keep an eye. And the moment you see any brown stains coming through is the moment that has gone through all the way through the BGA, and it has, you can see. So now what we do is we then do that onto the well, we give it a clean first. I just use a really soft brush for that, because at this stage, when it's just gone through, it's not actually clung to the board, so IPA straight away will do that. And yeah, we just put a little bit the other way around and it came through very quickly. So we will do some tilting of the board at the end just to make sure it's gone, it's completely covered the bottom surface of this ball grid array. And yeah, do it both sides exactly the same onto the CPU. Now you could do this to the RSX and the Southbridge as well. I don't see any problem with that, but I've decided just to do it on these two chips. Just clean away any flux that may have got onto the chip. Unfortunately, I got a little bit actually onto the top side there. So basically, I just squirted the pipette a little bit too hard and it came out too quickly. And now before we put it in for 2 hours, we just want to make sure that it's only on the underside of these two chips. So after it had the 2 hour bake with the flux under the chips at 110 degrees, this time I just assembled it. I didn't clean it because it's already had that. The flux is there to hold it together basically and create longevity out of this solution. So yeah. Basically now I'm going to do a little bit of testing, and it's sped up a little bit because I want to install it to multi-man, and I'm using a new SSD because the hard drive that was in there was just a bit slow. It's just a normal mechanical hard drive, and once you've had SSD in these, you don't go back. There is a slight risk you can lose PS2 apparently through having an SSD in there. I don't understand why that happened, but it's never happened to me, and fingers crossed it never will. So yeah, at the moment I'm just basically doing what I normally do, making sure the console's cool. I'm going to be installing multi-man, installing a game as well, because, and messing around with the settings to basically get this console staying cool. As you can see, I've just done a quick boot up of Grand Theft. It's booting up absolutely fine without any issues. And now we'll come out of Grand Theft basically, and yeah, we'll play around with some of these settings. And while I do that, it's a good time to talk about now what you've just seen. It's a lot to digest, and why this can actually work for you. And yeah, I think there are highly technical reasons behind this. And I don't want you to think that, we can just add a bit of heat, add a bit of flux, do a bit of an ultrasonic clean and Bob's your uncle. It's taken a long time to actually work this out. And, oh yeah, and replace the tokens as well. So I want to go through now why this actually works. And I think the main problem starts with heat and failing tokens. So literally on nearly every No PS2 that I have seen, the tokens are on their way out and you can't leave them on there. They have to come off. So basically what's happened is the tokens are failing, which means the power delivery to the CPU and the RSX is not as good. So these chips run hotter, and the hotter this console gets, the more likely it is to go through board warping thermal cycling. And what that basically means is after many times if you turn in the console on and off, this console is basically going to, and we're talking microscopic warping. I see people on YouTube going, my board looks straight, I can't see anything. I saw one recently, a customer directed me to it, and it's like, you don't see it, you just don't. You just have to put it on a brace and you have to level it out over time. And the heat's a great way of doing that. Keeping it on the brace while you clean it is a great way of doing it as well. What you don't see me do is I'm going to be, and I've basically done a lot of the research on this as well, is before going into an ultrasonic clean, it's going to basically get a 20-minute soak at 60 degrees in just distilled water. This is basically going to soften everything, and this is going to basically help the ultrasonic cleaning when it goes into there. Because at the moment I just give it a 5-minute soak in the fluid. And I did give it a 20-minute soak in the fluid, and I only got away with that because the fluid was failing. If you do that with brand new fluid, there's a chance that, you know, you could actually damage the board, so we don't want to be doing that. So, like I was saying, all of these processes have taken a long time to actually come together, and it's been a couple of years out of my life to actually find out that, you know, that you can't lift the EEGS chip off without an 80% failure rate. And when you put the new EEGS on, or the rebuild EEGS, if it doesn't work, your motherboard is irreparable. That's it, it's gone. Whereas with this, it's not. If the issue was to come back, you could simply do this again. So basically the guy in Ireland, this is his console, and this was the very first one that I did. After I'd done the first part of the video, he contacted me saying PS2 playback has gone, and now it also beeps off. So I got the console, as you know, and he sent me the little video which you've seen, and we've applied this method, and it's completely resolved it. So this method is more involved than basically what we did to him in the first place. We just changed the tokens, put it through a reflow oven, and that was it. Now it's being bolted down to the brace for longer because I do it overnight now. It's had, you know, more heat applied to it. It's had the soak in the ultrasonic clean, which didn't get before. It's had the flux underneath the chips, firstly as a sacrificial flux to clean the chips underneath the substrate, the BGA, and then it's had the second round of flux for longevity to actually you know, encourage stability under the BGA as well. And I believe with those extra steps, you know, we're going to get from a year fix to a much longer fix, maybe as long as it takes. I'm hoping indefinitely. This customer uses his console a lot. So it lasted a year with him using it a lot. So now with these added steps, it'll be interesting to see if that's going to improve it. I do believe it will. For the first time, I was able to recover a No PS2. This was the first time I was able to do it using this method, from not playing it at all at any temperature to getting it playing from boot cold. And I've applied that exact method here, and it's worked absolutely in exactly the same way. The reason I think this beeped off and the other one didn't is just that Syscon could flag it on this one and Syscon couldn't flag it on the other one. And I think that's more common. Syscon just can't flag it and it just fails to boot. Whereas on this one, it was able to flag the fact that it's not booting, and it then gives an improper shutdown. So yeah, it's an absolute joy to see these backwards compatibles playing PS2 games again. And you know, you can actually resolve this, and it's going to take more, you know, more testing. You know, I'm sure people will watch this video, people with the equipment, they might buy, or they might buy the equipment and try this. And I really want you guys to get on the chat and just basically tell me how it's going. Because I really, you know, I already know that with the inferior method it lasted nearly a year, so I know with this method it's going to last a lot longer, and that was with a gamer who played it all the time. So that's really important to actually take into consideration here. So yeah, let's talk about me a little bit. And yeah, if you don't want to do all of that and buy all the equipment and do that yourself, you can send it to me. You can contact me at retroconsoles.net. And yeah, at the moment I am just solely concentrating on PS3 consoles. But yeah, other people have asked me to do other work, and yeah, I'll be happy to do that. I am a specialist in the PS3 though, so I know there's a big community out there of PS3 lovers, and if you want your PS3 to basically be treated with the respect it deserves, and you know, I won't rush any job that I do on it. I always take my time, and all the precautions are always met, which means that your console is, you know, I'm not gonna break your console basically, and I'm going to fix it, and that's basically where it's at. It's just I feel that a lot of repair shops just don't. There's a lot of neglect that goes on, and that can lead to damaged consoles, etc. So yeah, that's retroconsoles.net. Head on over there, and you can find me there. And don't forget to like and subscribe, because yeah, I'm really sorry guys, I haven't been producing content. It's all been my mind has been completely on this. I've been obsessing over it. It's like, okay, for the Frankenstein mod, that's great, but if you do it and you can't play PS2 games anymore, it defeats the object. And people just didn't want to talk about it. People just didn't want to talk about this issue. And, you know, some people that have talked about it or tried to resolve it, you know, haven't been able to. And rather than persevere with it, they almost shy away from it and say, oh no, it's just too complicated. It could be so many factors, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's just not worth trying to fix. Well, you can resolve it. Look, this is working. And the first time it worked nearly a year, and now we should be getting a much longer fix out of this. And that's something to be celebrated. You know, I put nearly 3 years of my life into this. And, you know, just constantly checking the resistors, the capacitors. And that's when I came up with, it has to be board warping, it's got to be BGA fatigue, and it just simply doesn't work. If you try to remove the EEGS chip, it's just too sensitive. Anyway guys, I hope you liked the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, bye.